But again, this is what's important. But again, this is what's important.
What up? Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy, where we don't stand out, we stand up. We are in the house this Freestyle Fatherhood Friday. Yes, switching it up today. No games, serious business happening in here. So we appreciate you guys rocking and being with us, because you could have been anywhere, but you're here with us. Let's do this. Come on, there you go, work with me. Bam. All right. Nope, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted right here. All right. So thank you guys for being here. Make sure you share. Make sure you tag in other people, getting everybody in the building. Blessings, Lisa. Thank you for always being here and rocking and sharing. Split the smile. Let's do that. All right. So again, welcome to the Brothers of Legacy. So today, like I said, today is boom, Freestyle Fatherhood Friday. Definitely want to check that out. And we're going to discuss all things fatherhood. I got my brother, like no other, Dr. JL Adolph in the building, and Pastor Brian A. McCrory and Sr. in the building as well. But real quick, and we'll probably tap on it like right at the end. It's something to think about. This thing right here, the metaverse. It's more than a name change. It's a big game changer. Mark Zuckerberg did an hour presentation on YouTube about the metaverse. It's like an hour and some change. It's worth checking out. Don't look at the commentaries from other people talking about what he talked about. Look directly at the thing from Facebook or Meta, company. You need to watch it because it speaks into where we're headed. So definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. I just wanted to bring it up because a lot of times we get left behind because we're not up on what's happening. And this is very important. It's not only as far as society, but economically, and sometimes we miss some economic opportunities because we're not up on what's happening, and when it's in the I don't know stage, that's the time is to invest. It's like, I figured it out, 45, like when it's at the, what is that? I don't know. That's the time to invest because once it's figured out, it's the bar to get in stuff is higher and a lot more people are clamoring to it. All right. So let that marinate. Let that sit. You will not be disrespected. Love you. She wanted to play the game. I messed up this morning. All right. So we're going to do that. Let's go ahead and kick this off. Get this great conversation happening. We'll be right back after this. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Oh, yeah. Welcome, gentlemen.
All right.
Yes,
1, 2, 1, 2. I'm ready. Fatherhood. Let's do
this. What's up, Pastor? Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. How you doing, everybody?
So, like I said, today is Freestyle Fatherhood Friday. This was inspired by a Zoom call that the Fathers Matter of ATL, the Zoom call they were having this past Friday and it was very interesting, some of the stuff they came up with. I was like, man, that is some great stuff we need to cover. So I'm gonna toss it into Dr. JL's hands so he can kind of dig into the depths of some of those conversations, from provider and to the straightening the terms. It's some We about to have a great conversation. That's all I'm saying. All right, Dr. JL, kind of break down, because one of the things you guys talked about was the depths, and I call it the depths of what a provider means,
Right.
and not just the overarching of work, but what does a provider mean?
Well, before I get into that, I want to just say to those on this side of the internet, you want to make sure that you always tune in to this show, Brothers of Legacy. They
Yeah.
always dropping that science and that sort
Appreciate
of thing.
it.
And then, you know, we freestyling on here. So I'm a 1-2, that sort of thing. I would spit a high 16, but we don't have time for all of that right now. But first and foremost, the Fathers Matter of ATL,
Yes.
the brainchild of Dr. Latrice Rollins from the Morehouse School of Medicine.
Yes.
Definitely a great scholar. And what she has done, if you haven't checked her out, she has assembled like a crew bigger than Wu-Tang, fathers and practitioners and women and professors, everyone coming together, really trying to tackle this issue of fatherhood. So, it's just an honor. I'm just one part of her small branch that looks at reclaiming the narrative. And basically, in that Zoom conversation, what we were discussing is this whole need to straighten the terminology. And when I say straighten, keep in mind, I'm a professor of English, so I know that straighten with the consonant G being dropped off, that is African American vernacular English. But the straightening is something that Quavo talks about in Amigos. And I feel like when he talks about straightening, it was like a need to correct for those who don't know hip hop terminology. So I was like, there is a need to straighten the terminology when it comes to certain things that relate to fatherhood, especially when you talk about Black fatherhood. One of the terms that we want to straighten first is this whole idea or the term provider. And what we discussed is the term provider, especially when you talk about in our community, has relegated men to just a position of being a financial support. And we're limited solely to economics. Now, what I have called for is straightening out this terminology in a way that what we will do is expand the notion of provider by looking at other things that we provide, like education, spiritual knowledge, providing or quality time. What I'm saying is we have to broaden. When we talk about this whole notion of being provider, we have to broaden this term to include all those things, because basically within our court systems is strictly like, okay, child support. But when we think about that notion, yet another term to straighten, how do we support our children? It's not just by throwing money, but the quality time, the spiritual nourishment, and the advice. So really, that's what this is what we really are advocating for, like straightening out some of the terms, because we know that language has power. And because language has power, there are policies that are created that limit us as dads. So I just want to straighten out the terminology so that we can be in a better position to be the fathers that we are. So, yeah.
Indeed. So, so the overreaching of like provider, like you said, providing spiritually, providing knowledge, providing the wisdom, providing security. We always talk about covering our families. That's a term that needs to be broadened, because we are providers. And I always say we're more than providers, but I guess provider is like one of our biggest, I'll say biggest jobs in a sense to the household. So Pastor, let me ask you, would you add more to provider, or would you say provider kind of reaches what we do? Or I know we always use the word covering, but how would there be more of an expanse of that word provider, or would you say provider kind of covers a lot of what we do as men in our households?
For me, the vernacular, you can use any term
Right.
that completes the requirement,
Right.
right? As we look to our God as our spiritual father
Right.
to meet the need of the whole man, the total man, we must look to us. Our children, our families must look to us in a similar fashion.
Right.
We have to be the, and I'm saying I have to look at this biblically.
Yeah.
Right. We can look at it culturally, from a natural standpoint. You bring a child into this world, your responsibility, your accountability is to be everything that child needs
Right.
as a resource.
Right.
Right. Biblically, it's the same thing. Before God put Adam in the garden, he made sure that everything was available for him in the
Right.
garden.
Right.
He didn't put him in a place where he did not have all the resources he needed to sustain him.
Right.
So that's
Right.
who we as fathers should be to our families, to our children.
Right.
We have to be that resource. I'm not saying you give them everything, but
Definitely.
it's necessary for them to have everything that they need
Right.
to sustain.
That's
Right.
good.
And whatever name, whatever title you want to give that, if that's provider,
Right.
I would say that one could argue that when you use the term provider, you have to ask provider of what?
Right. Right. Yeah.
You
That's good.
understand?
That's good.
I like the term cover because
Yeah.
if I cover you, I got you.
Right.
Right. And
Definitely.
so, but I don't, I have no argument whatsoever with the term provider, because if you
Gotcha.
ask me, it would be whatever's necessary.
Right.
Well, what are you
Right.
providing? Whatever's necessary.
Right.
You know.
Right. So let me go ahead, Doctor.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I was saying like this term has to be broadened in the sense, well, I would say maybe not even the term has to be broadened, but it's our understanding of what a provider is, because a provider is somebody who covers and that sort of thing. That is a provider, but what is typically shown in court systems or what's typically shown in pop culture is this sort of narrative, a narrow view of a provider as simply someone that drops money. It's in a sense, in a sense, it's like our kids has become, in a sense, placed in a sort of prison system, in the sense where we're just giving them commissary.
Right.
Here you go. Here's some money on your books.
Right.
Out, Junior, and that sort of thing. And that's not what we're trying to do, because if we're not present,
right,
in there, and instead of giving presents,
right,
sort of thing. Right. If we're not present, then our kids, are still trying to struggle to navigate this world. So it is that whole idea of really broadening our understanding of what a provider is. But I think a lot of that has been limited by, what we see in pop culture, and unfortunately what we have seen in the court system, that doesn't regulate to say, hey, this dad needs to have a certain amount of quality time or that sort of thing. That's not really factored into when we start talking about support for the child. It's only financial. And that's where we start. And I think that's why some men are really angry about that term, child support, because it's like going with what the pastor said, support of what? It is like, or we supporting our kids by spending quality time. Does that take into a factor? Really coming up to the school, checking in on them. Does that factor? If none of those components are added to it, and all you want is just a finance, then it becomes a really, I think, really toxic situation. Not saying that our kids don't need money, but I'm just saying it's more that should be added into the terms when we're talking about providing and support,
right. So how would you, and that's really good, because when it comes to fatherhood, and when there's generally, this is mostly spoke about when there's a split, how do you figure out the needs of the child, and of course it's always quantified into the dollar amount, but how do you factor in how do you factor in time? Like, custody is always the battle. And in the end, we disperse finance, because either way, like if I have the finance or she has more of the finance and I have more time with the child, so she has to make up for the child by giving me finance, so how do you factor in time, and quantify it or put a value on it where it's part of the negotiation in a sense, because it seems like the custody part is like the prize. The money part is the requirement, like, some money's going to be paid, but if you do well, you can get some time with this kid, like, so it's how do we begin to shift it where the money and the time becomes part of the requirements,
I think it has to be all documented.
Right.
I think the beginning, going back to like the whole idea of straightening,
Right.
that whole idea of correcting the terms, we have to really start incorporating some of that language in these sort of child support cases and that
Right.
sort of thing. It needs to be in there outside of the realm of just
That's good.
like, for instance, one term that I would like to see straightened out is this whole idea of custodial. Like, because automatically when we start talking about like the court system, probably 95% of the time, the mother is going to be labeled as custodial.
Okay.
Like, I do that every day.
Right.
But what if the mother and father both have split time?
Right.
Like in my particular case, I had split time evenly, 50% physical, and then the other in joint custody.
Right.
And so when we start talking about that, I always found it quite problematic that one is custodial. What makes one custodial? And the mother is always, sort of placed in that position.
Right.
So when we look at like that, it's certainly no way of quantifying like, hey, you took the kid to a ball game, that counts towards. I mean, we're not adding up time in that regard. But however, it should be factored in that the father should have access to X amount of time with the child. And that should I think we have to start looking at these cases instead of transactions in like a holistic family.
Right.
That's the thing that I found the real issue. When we start looking at kids and our relationships to children as a transactional sort of expense, then it takes away from the humanity of the whole thing. So yeah, I know I got to financially take care of, but it should be something in account that says, hey, be present, graduation, be present, this and that. And then also to the to moms out there that may make the situation toxic, let's try to limit the parental alienation as well. So those it's like when you go into these courses, it's like parental alienation don't even exist. So those are some things that when we start talking about straightening, we have to factor in the whole notion of what is considered custodial. We have to start documenting what is considered like time and that sort of thing. That's just my take. I think if we incorporate that into the language, then what we do is add more humanity instead of it being a transaction.
Right. Indeed. That's good. Richard said yesterday was an emotional tsunami, tears, reflection, smiles, but tough. Yesterday, I really wish my father was still with me. I feel you on that one. Said, what if the father completely broke, no assets? You also asked if fathers denied access and visitation, no financial support, only money if we have visitation rights and joint custody. Interesting. Dr. Rollins says, just have to remember the influence of government interest. To the government, the money is the primary thing. So that has influenced the programs available to fathers. The narrative that being responsible means paying. True indeed. And Richard also said the biggest issue is children are used as bargaining chips in pawns between adults. Yeah, that happens. That does happen sometimes. Yes, indeed. So my question though, so with us understanding some of the terms and provider and trying to shift the focus in the court system, or even just life period. I want to kind of shift it a little bit into like some of the other terms that you guys talked about. And I want to lighten it up a little bit. But so what, like, we always hear the terms baby mother and baby daddy, or baby moms or baby daddy. Is that a bad term?
I'm going to go to the pastor for this one first.
It's the truth.
What's
But
up, pastor?
is it
Baby
bad
mama,
now?
baby
Like,
daddy.
who that is? Who that is?
Well, remember, there are two types of cultures.
Right. Okay.
Right? Because there is a culture of fatherhood and there is a culture of baby daddy that we have become all too familiar with. I am a father of 5 children.
Okay.
And I am a baby daddy. And I have been a baby daddy for 34 years. My oldest will be 34.
What's up, Taiwan?
But the way that the term,
Right.
to Taiwan's point, the way that the term is used,
it's a horrible term,
right?
So
it has been used with a negative connotation, which has poisoned the culture.
Right.
Right. And so everything that is spoken has some level of intent when it is spoken. Just like you can say the N word one way and be received, or you can say it another way and get jacked up.
Right.
But depending on who's saying it, determines whether or not it's received or whether or not you get jacked up. Right. Now, I don't like the N word, the existence of the N word, period.
Right.
But there are many that would argue me on that.
Yeah.
Just like there are some who can't stand the term baby daddy.
Right.
But there are many that would argue that.
Right.
So it has everything to do with the intent. Right. I believe that we fight our battles. We're fighting all the wrong battles.
Okay.
I believe that argument in itself is the outcome of a failure that happened well before the term became popular.
Right.
See, we're dealing with the consequences, the outcome of a lot of things.
Right.
And so when you have to lean on the government, like our last conversation, when it comes to financial or support or being a provider, if the government has to define it for you, you've already lost. If the government has to regulate it, you've already lost. The question is, how do we get to a place where we're not depending on the government to make those to share those definitions with us? Right. And that's what we really have to deal with. And the other piece is when you have laid down with the wrong person, and the outcome is a child is brought into the world, that's what leads to give me the money and I don't need your time. I can do bad all by myself. It's me and my baby against the world, because you were never together in the first place.
That's true. Yes.
So do we really want to have this conversation?
Let's go.
Right.
Let's go.
I mean, I'm just keeping it real, because
no doubt.
What I love about Fathers Matter is Fathers Matter has to exist because we have fallen so far away from the truth of our own identity that we have become victims of someone else's definition of us. Right. And so now we're having to not only educate the system, we got to educate our own people. Who have become institutionalized with public and government support. You want to follow their rules so that you can get what you want out of the deal. So everything is self-serving. And Dr. Holland just said they're driven by money. Those programs, all that's about money. About money. So if it's about money, you've already lost. And to your earlier point, let's understand what provider really means. Let's have that conversation. so that we can really understand where we're falling short.
Right.
I know I'm digressing.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
No, I should have known, man. Maybe I should have went because you were saying lighten the mood, the passing, and the way back up the shoulders. Okay,
He's picked it back up. You're good though. So Tawan said, he said, I just don't see why it's so hard to say my child's mother or father and baby daddy mother has a negative connotation attached to it, in my opinion. Yes, indeed.
Time out. Guess what? When my children call my name, they don't say hello, father.
Right.
They say, hey, daddy. So am I not daddy?
Yes, you are. Who that is?
Yeah, I'm daddy.
Who that is?
I am a father, but to my children, I'm daddy. When they talk to other people, they say that's my father.
Right.
When they're talking to me, they say, hey, daddy.
Right. You know, although I would like that, they'd be like, father. I'm like, yes,
father. Man,
yeah, but you see what you just did? You see what you just did there? The minute you said father, your whole tone changed. Yes, father.
I would love that. I'm like, yes, son.
because it gives you a different complex.
Right.
But I want to go into this baby mama, baby daddy type thing, and really, I think, you know, along with what the pastor said, which is so true when we talk about terms, but I think when we talk about the term baby mama and baby daddy, oh, I'm sorry, what's going on?
He said, my children both call me father. They even say it in text. I can't stand it.
You know what? My youngest son called me father when he wants something really bad.
Right.
Father. I was
Good
like,
morning,
what? I was like, what do you want?
We're good.
But here's the thing. You know, when we start talking about the term baby mama, baby daddy, I think it really, in many cases, is used in a way. Sometimes when you are referring to dads and moms of color, they're saying like they're an infant in terms of the way that they look at parenting. Right. So when you say baby father, it's not really referring to the baby. It's really referring to the mindset of the daddy and the mom. Right. And a lot of it could be related to like usually baby daddy, baby mom to like teen moms, teen dads, and that sort of thing. But it's that negative connotation that even if an African-American male or female is 30, they still will use this like you're in a baby or infant stage in terms of our parenting. Right. And it's and that's the issue sometimes that I have with the term. And I like another one of my favorite artists. It's ironic in hip hop culture, the term has become really popularized. But I would say one hip hop artist that I really love and his take on the term, he said, and it's Talib Kweli. He was saying, I really look forward to us becoming adult fathers and adult mothers. You know, and I think once we change the vocabulary, we can change like the sort of mindset. But a lot of times it's connected to your infantile because baby father, baby mama refers to really that parent that buys the kid a fresh pair of Jordans. They can't even walk. And they like, hey, that's my baby daddy. Look what my baby daddy did, because that's the conception of the infantile state is really like, hey, I'm going to give my kid everything that I didn't have. But no way are you going to be able to give your kid everything. You know? So it's that infantile state. And I agree. I think it's a term that we should really look at in thinking about if we need to straighten it, you know, and that sort of thing. But unlike the pastor, I don't know. I feel my kids call me dad. I think it's a certain age that the D at the end got to drop off at some point. It's like, you're not going to be a 40-year-old man. Daddy, no, man. Daddy.
Well, no, I think it becomes pop.
Right, exactly. Because you're
my daughters say daddy. I got a 34-year-old daughter who's still saying daddy.
Yeah, I think the girls probably always say daddy.
Okay, so I gotta. Okay, I'm gonna throw a term. I want to throw this
Let's go.
term, Pastor.
Let's go.
I'm gonna ask you to forgive me ahead of time.
Come on, Nikita.
Okay, here we go. Because I'm a heathen, so I'm just gonna put it out here. Do you have an issue with women calling their significant other
Okay.
daddy? Do you have an issue with that? Like,
Ooh.
should the mother call you daddy? Is that weird?
Oh, you talking about okay.
like girlfriends
Okay.
and wives, should they call their husbands and boyfriends daddy? And or should we straighten out that term?
Ooh.
So I'm gonna leave that to the pastor.
I'll tell you this.
I'll jump in there, but
This is what I would tell you. Well, I wish my wife was on here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because
I already know. What's up, Dr. Rollins? Yeah, she said I say dad. Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Rollins says dad. Yeah. But that doesn't surprise me. Dr. Rollins that's how everything about her that makes sense to me.
Right.
But when I met my wife, the night I met her, she called me daddy.
What?
Jesus, daddy.
And I married her.
Oh, clutch the pearls. No.
Right.
Look, you know where look, Doctor. Look, Trace. Look. So, but here's the thing. This is something that I learned as a parent. We have to.
Is it right?
Yeah, day one, bro. Day one. Yes, day one. That speaks volumes of my character.
Yeah, and this is what I was gonna get into. Sam said so. When our kids were small, I called daddy because the kids need to hear that. Right. Now that
that's why I was going, because in a lot of households you have to call each other what you want the children to call you, because there are certain households. I had a friend growing up who called his mother Tina.
Right.
Because that's what her husband called her.
Right.
You know, so you have to train up a child in the way that they should go. Right. And then once they have it, you know, you can change it. Because I know Samantha doesn't call him daddy today. Well, I'm saying doors. Like in general conversation.
Oh yeah, no.
Like there may be moments.
Right.
I just found it so weird, man. I'm like, no.
Yeah. But that's another conversation.
Right.
But I do believe that in a lot of cases. Yeah, that's what we do. But you know, the pet names and that kind of stuff, you know, I think that it's important. And these are the things that we take for granted. Yeah. You know, we have these yeah, she blaming you, bro.
You did this.
we have these pet names and stuff, and sometimes they work, but sometimes they're unknowingly unhealthy. Right. Because we become defined by what we answer to.
Okay.
Subconsciously.
Right.
Player.
Right.
I'm pimping all day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, it's unhealthy behavior because we succumb to those things. Right. You know. And so we have to be careful when we do that. Right. Okay. So you know, not all pet names work.
Right.
Yeah. Not all nicknames work. And that's what I was just alluding to, Dr. Adolph, is I was saying that, you know, player sounds cool.
Right.
But you succumb to that.
Right.
You speak that enough in your mind.
It becomes,
you know,
who I am.
And then player becomes, oh yeah, I'm pimping, baby. I'm pimping. You know, that becomes a character. you know,
Right.
and you playing a role.
Yeah.
You understand?
And
And so
again,
we have to be careful with those, how we define one another.
and you know
Wow.
what? And going back to straightening out that term again, whenever I think about like a young lady calling a young man like daddy,
Oh,
and it's
okay. Yeah.
and it's no children involved,
Right.
I
Right.
oftentimes wonder, are they seeking to correct maybe a fatherless situation by
That's
looking
interesting.
at the boyfriend as a sort of surrogate in a weird sort of way, like a surrogate father present, so that
Right.
then that the term daddy becomes not just a term of endearment, but
Right.
this man becomes a symbol of, in a sense, where he functions a role as a father figure slash lover, which can never really work in both capacities. So,
Right.
sometimes from research and stuff that I've read that sometimes some women as well as some men recreate their childhood within their romantic relationships, and
Wow.
that's when the term becomes very, that's when we have to start thinking about straightening that term as well.
Yeah,
So
right.
So see, Dr. Rollins, I did bring it back around.
You fixed it up.
It's 180. I brought it back around to the fatherhood. There we go.
Oh, Taiwan said, I couldn't say my parents' first name ever. That was considered disrespectful. Yes, it was weird. I've been in households, they call them like, really? Like, Richard said, oh my gosh, I used to say say my dad Derek and my mother Joyce once, and he remembers the year when I was 10 years old. Once. Sam said, absolutely, Taiwan. Sometimes now when I want to pick with my mom, I call her by her first name over the phone, of course, and she's still mad.
Right. See, you notice she emphasized over the phone in parentheses because she's beyond swinging distance.
Right. Right. Oh, so yeah, so that those terms, like the baby mom, baby dad, and I guess one more term I kind of wanted to get into. You guys talked about. Oh, this might be a little hot button-ish, but I don't know.
Hey,
maybe
let's do it. I'm ready.
Like the single mother or single dad, like does it mean that like they were talking about single mother, like dad's not around, or single mother or mother that's single, she just not with anybody, so what is and when you hear that term, what's your first thought when you hear like a single mother or single dad, because they're single dads as well? Do you think a single dad, like there's no mother around and I'm by myself, or do you think she's just single, but dad could possibly be around?
So I'm gonna start out with the ignorant light moment first. No, Pastor gonna hit us with some like really heavy. This is the ignorant advice. Don't follow, folks. But here we go. No, I think when we talk about single, especially if we say single Black mother, it carries a weight of, the Tyler Perry mom that has been carrying all the weight of her children. They literally dragging by her ankles, like the lady from Tom and Jerry, that sort of thing. And it's this sort of negative connotation that she has to, she doesn't need a man. She doesn't need a dad. I'm gonna just take care of me and my babies all alone. And that she doesn't have any sort of vulnerabilities or any struggles, that she could just take it because she's the strong Black single mom.
Right.
I think that's, I think Black women have dealt with that burden, especially when we start talking about situations like medical health. We know that certain doctors don't believe that they believe that Black women have a higher threshold. Why? Because they're the strong Black woman, strong Black single mom, and it's really it really dismisses the vulnerabilities and struggles and that sort of thing, and also creates this sort of mythology that I don't need a man for anything or anybody and that sort of thing, and that's the negative. I prefer the term a mother who is single, and I think that's different. A mother who is single is, yes, I am a mother. Yes,
Right.
I am single in status.
Right.
Mother is part of who I am as a person, but it doesn't totally define my whole entire being. And
Right.
I think that's the difference. Now, single dad is kind of, it doesn't have the negative connotation as well.
You don't feel it like
You know what? It's just, you know what it shows to me? It's like a Motel 6, like vacancy, single dad, like click, click, look in the way we're treated as a single dad is kind of, it's kind of problematic in some ways. They're like, oh, look at him. He's a single dad. I mean, and that could be condescending in a way too. It's like,
right.
oh, look at him. He don't know no better. Look at him.
Right.
He just feeding these babies. He don't even know how to feed a baby.
Right.
That's condescending to us as well. But a lot of times when you say a single dad, sometimes people think that you're looking to have an application field. You're like, hey, I'm just a man who's single. Hey, watch out. Hey, I'm not looking to get married. I'm just a man who's single. But but I'm not gonna lie.
I'm listening to you and getting emotional, bro. Because I was a single parent. Right. And so you're taking me. I'm like, I experienced all of that.
Yeah.
Right. And it angered me. I was so angry, because I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do.
Right. Exactly.
Why are you a single dad? Because my children need me.
Right.
I didn't go out like, ooh, hey, I want to be a single dad. You know what I mean? And and like I was raised in a single parent household.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I never saw my mom as a victim.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
There was just no man in the house.
Right.
So like I never, you don't put that together until you see a father in another house. And I'm like, oh, we don't have one of those.
Right. Exactly.
You understand?
Right.
Like you at the baseball game, I'm playing baseball. My mother's sitting in the stands. I see the father. Oh, I don't. Oh, okay. Well, mom's, hey, mom. My mom was my softball coach at one point.
Right.
So like to me, like I didn't miss it because I had a childhood.
Right.
Children don't know single versus married. They just know who's in the house and who's not.
Right. Yeah.
You understand?
Indeed.
We put that in their minds.
Right.
You understand? And when we put it in there, we put it in there positively or we put it in there negatively.
Right.
So if you say it again.
And most of the time it is negative. It's like, I'm a single black woman. I don't need no man. It's like, come on, ease up, sis.
Right.
Ease up for a minute. It's okay because especially you raising a young man and a young woman, and it's not that it's cool that you have the strength to raise that child, but it's also better to have partnership if it's positive partnership. And I think that prevents sometimes mothers when they young women and young men when they get into the future and they'll say, well, I don't need to have a positive relationship because I could raise a child on my own. And I was like, no, don't go in with that mindset. Go in with the mindset of trying to have a partnership that can work, because there are some things that a child can learn from a positive male figure as well as a positive female figure, and you just have to bring those two together. But one thing that I want to add into the single dad story, because when I was divorced, was a single dad and that sort of thing, the most condescending thing that I received was when I would go to the doctor and they said, have the mother told you the last time they had immunization shots? I'm like, are you serious? I'm the one who bring them to the doctor's appointment. And I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Wow.
But it's that tendency to think that either they become too congratulatory, like when you're a black male father, like, whoa, you raised your kid, or they just like, or they look at you like a unicorn, like,
Right.
What is this Negro? Really? It's like clever.
But it's all of that, you know. But you have to realize I don't fault. You know, I deal with it now. I go to the high school now,
Right.
and they look at me strange.
Yeah.
And my wife and I are here in the same house, and they're asking me questions about the mother, and I'm like,
Right.
I'm standing right here.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been to cheerleading meetings, sitting in the room when the coach is saying, okay, moms.
Right.
They address the room as if the room only has women in it, and I'm sitting out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have to raise my hand, like, do you recognize that? You know, and I'd be like, I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not but I have to remind them.
The audience think that he was going to say.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, because you know it strikes a chord, right? And I'm human. I love the Lord, but I'm a human being who's spiritual, right? And so you tap at my emotions because to me it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know, when you see me, and then you act like I'm not there.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. It's disrespectful when you see me doing a job, and you treat me like I'm special for fathering my children.
Right.
And I've had to correct people many times, like this is what I'm supposed to do. You know, but I was going to say this, Dr. Adolph. I read a story somewhere. I don't know if I heard someone say this or I read it somewhere, where a daughter was talking to her mother, and she said, "Mom, I want to grow up. I want to be just like you. I'm so proud of you. You know, you raised me and my brother. You're a single mom. You're a superwoman, and I want to be a superwoman just like you." And the mother had to correct her daughter and tell her, she said, "What you saw was survival."
Right. Yes.
I did that because I had to, not because I wanted to.
Right.
I didn't have a choice, you know, and a lot of it, you know, we carry this badge, you know, of doing what we're supposed to be.
Right.
Because people will elevate you.
Right.
You understand? And I'm saying only God calls.
Right.
You understand? And we miss that. We let people call us into certain positions, and we lose ourselves because of the calling of people and not of God.
Right.
So those are the things that we have to keep. We have to remain mindful of, so that we don't get lost. You know, don't feel victimized. When people said to me, you know, that whole Poe baby, he just don't know what he doing.
Exactly.
I'm like, yeah, like I braid hair. Right. And I used to say these things like my daughter. There was a time where my daughters wouldn't let anybody else touch their hair.
Wow.
Right.
They only wanted me to do their hair, right? Because they was, I mean, and that was because of the bonding. Like doing hair, there's a bond.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's something that happens, and that's just, and I'm saying that's what mothers normally get with their daughters.
Right.
Right. And so you have all these, and here's the other piece. The other piece is when you talk about, you know, how they treat you at the school or the assistants and all of that. The reality is mothers are there more than fathers, but because historically fathers are at work.
Right.
Or they're supposed to be, you know. I don't have as close a relationship with the pediatrician when my daughters were going to the pediatrician as my wife did.
Right.
You know, but when it came time for shots and serious stuff, I was there because she needed my support. She needed the strength, the backbone, you know. And so the meetings at the school and stuff, my wife did more of that. When I was a single parent, I was there. I did those things, and I felt that treatment, but it wasn't a shocker because culturally, it's women in those positions are making those appointments more than it is, or mothers more than fathers. Right. So that doesn't offend me, but I have no problem educating someone when they treat me like I'm not in the same house.
Right.
Because they go to, they take that a little bit further. Well, you know, asking the children, is your father in the house with you?
Right.
Yeah. Weird. It's like
that's none of your business.
Right.
Definitely. When I would take mine to the park, you know, and you know, the kids are playing in the sandbox, and I would just literally have moms to invade in my space. Oh, it is so good that you're taking your kids to the park.
Yeah.
Hanging out with my kids, like you really gonna do this right now?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Nice to see a father out with his children. I'm like, where are you from? They don't do that where you from?
No,
Right.
it's like you're watching I don't know, like Animal Planet or something. Notice out in the savannah in the park.
We see
The black man.
the black father out with his children. Oh, notice he's buying ice cream. This particular species is employed.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
This particular species. Oh man. Listen, we appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us another Freestyle Fatherhood Friday. Don't worry, it's not gonna be every Friday. We're gonna at least cover this like every couple of weeks. We'll cover this topic with different conversations. Right. So this particular species is employed, right? At the job. At the little jobby job. So yeah, listen, I thank you guys for rocking and hanging with us and for sharing. This has been a great conversation because these are conversations you guys have had off the side and in your groups and things like that. And we're trying to bring these conversations into a more public space. Appreciate that, Lisa. Actually, Lisa had a comment that I want to put up. She said I was speaking to someone who said she never considered herself a single mother because of all the support she had raising her children. So,
but again, definitions, because to me, a single parent is an unmarried parent.
Right. That's what I think too. Yeah,
that's it.
I think that too. Yeah. Or
doesn't mean that the mother or father the doesn't mean someone is absent. It just means they know they're not together under the same roof.
Right. Exactly.
And we got to stop that, that connotation of the strong black woman syndrome, because a lot of women are dealing with vulnerabilities and pain, and I don't want to disrespect the pain and the struggles that woman has in survivalhood. By saying, "Oh, she's strong," it's like saying she doesn't feel anything.
Right, she's good.
She's good.
Yeah, but there's another side to that, Dr. Adolph. The other side to that is, while our black women are strong, they are a part of the backbone. Right. You understand? I believe that there is something divine, wrapped in the strength of the women in our community. Right. When I think about my mom and her doing and all the things that she survived, right, operating in a position of second-class citizen, but still because of how the system is designed, right. But we forget that not only operating as a perceived second-class citizen according to the system, but also in our community. Abused, castigated, set aside, right? But still able to get in there and handle her business. There's something to be said about that. That the problem is when you start believing that you're superhuman.
Right.
That's
the problem is that when you start, because you've overcome all of these things, you look down your nose at someone else. That's also a problem that we have in our system, a problem that we have in our society and in our communities. Because again, it's because we start carrying it as a badge.
True.
You understand? And the level of and confidence becomes cockiness. And I don't care who you're human. It happens. We have sisters out here who have that mindset. Nope. Unless you got some money, right? I'm gonna tell you, how this is gonna go, right? And it's a defense mechanism because they don't want to be vulnerable. Because being vulnerable means being weak.
Right.
Being vulnerable
Oh,
means
look.
I am subjecting myself
Right.
to you potentially abusing me.
Right. Dr. K.
Right?
Yeah.
Or right,
Wifey in
or
the
cheer
building.
to push others away. Absolutely, absolutely. And so we have to look at that from both sides. You know, as men, let's recognize the beauty. And here's the thing: the Bible doesn't call a black woman who loves the Lord a queen. The Bible calls her a king and a priest.
Interesting. That's good. That's good.
Just like it calls me.
Right.
It doesn't say we're kings and queens and priests and priestesses. It says we are kings and priests.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So if we're all the same in the sight of God, how am I really supposed to be treating my woman?
And you know what? To add on, and this is me being a junior pastor. I think of the David.
Right.
And when I think about King David, the thing that he was a poet, and as well a poet, musician, as well as a warrior. What I'm looking at is he had the vulnerability, and yet he has strength. And when I say like that, the whole negative connotation of the strong black woman is it denies sometimes that vulnerability, vulnerability that is needed, that makes us human. And then, you know, in an effort to just say she's superhuman, then doesn't feel any pain. So that's what I was saying, like the damaging. Yeah, but of course, I would say our sisters have had a rich history of resilience. Like Zora Neale Hurston has said, black women have been the quote unquote mules of the earth. She was saying they take it from white America, from black men, and from their children, and from other black women. So they was like they take it all on their shoulders. But however, they still had that vulnerability.
Yeah, I do want to toss out. I dig that, and I think sometimes though, with that, there's a thought that black women don't feel pain.
Exactly.
You know, like they don't. There's no hurt. You know, like there was. You know, our women are resilient. I'm saying our women are resilient, in feeling the pressures of life, but they still feel the pain. You know? And you know, going into the medical field, you know, I think that's why they sometimes get, oh, you good, you're not, you resilient, you could, you know, but internally there's things happening.
You should have that baby.
Right.
But think about this. Here's the thing. You know, we just talked about the duality. You know, we talk about the duality of man, the duality of God, being fully God and fully man. You know, and people try to take away from the crucifixion as if somehow Jesus was able to endure something that because of being God, he was only able to do it because he was God. The reality is being fully God and fully man means whatever pain he felt is the pain we would have felt. That's what people don't understand. Right? He endured the cross, and I'm saying it would have felt it would feel the same way for me as it did for him. Even though he was fully God and fully man. And so let's not get lost in that misconception that our strong black women are able to take more. No. That's just not the case. And the scripture calls them the weaker vessel.
That's
right.
Well.
And so but that's not the scripture saying that they're weak. That's about how we're supposed to honor them, how we're supposed to deal with them, how we're supposed to treat them.
Yes, indeed.
Because we're supposed to cover.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Right. And the problem is they have for far too long, our women have gone uncovered.
Right. Yes.
Right. That's why they sing "I Can't Stand the Rain" against my window.
Right. Because I ain't got no umbrella.
We're not covering.
Right.
Yeah.
Different. Whatever. That works. Oh man, that's good. So Rich threw something we not covering it, but just kind of to think about. He asked question, Anthony. How about topic covering absent fathers and why does this happen? Just kind of something to chew on a little bit. You know, I don't have I haven't seen or have a lot of experience in that space, but maybe you guys have known folk personally or had conversations with.
I've had a father who was absent. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a product of that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So
Right.
yeah. So
We ain't got to go into it
what
though.
was the question though?
Just how, like, the topic of absent fathers and why does it happen?
Oh, yeah, that's
Because your priorities are mixed up. That's why.
Yeah,
It's like anything else.
Right.
Mhm.
It's
Or maybe
mixed up
they're
priorities.
still on their way to get that back, those cigarettes and milk. They're on their way back. It's just a little.
And they get lost.
Sure.
What was I doing? Where do I live again? All right, we can make it. Listen, and these gentlemen are products of fathers not being there, so we're not making light of it.
No,
not at all. So I don't want nobody getting hurt. Like, we're not making light of it. No, you good. I just like to say stuff like that.
Sometimes I get it. It's not something, and I get ignorant in the morning. I'm not better until. But no, it's a very serious topic.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
It's a lot of trauma that I endured growing up with an absentee father. In a sense, as a matter of fact, it's in Healthy Baby, Healthy Moms magazine. I actually wrote an article. You guys can check it out. And it's talking about the trauma that one endures growing up fatherless, and how I suggest that fatherless fathers receive some form of counseling or some form of mental health before the child is even present, so that they can begin to work through some of their own personal things. Because for the most part, in all seriousness, growing up fatherless and then becoming a father was a big struggle. It's like going into the world where you're supposed to get to this set destination of fatherhood, but nobody has given you a compass or a GPS map.
Bro, you better say it.
That's one of those things. Wow. So
you better. Part of the reason why I was a single father is because my father wasn't there, and I was determined to not be my father.
Yeah. Right? It weighs heavy on you.
Yeah, I was like, I am not going to be him. But then I woke up and realized I'm working so hard to not be him.
Yeah.
That I was failing to be me.
Yeah, I was fathering out of guilt. My father was straight out of guilt. It was like, I can't break a promise. I'll just say this real quick. Before I became a permanent transplant here in the Georgia, Atlanta area, I didn't realize about the heat. So me and my kids were going to the aquarium. Man, I pass out, dehydrate, pass out, face plant on the concrete. My literal tooth goes through the bottom of my lip. I get up and I pop right up. No joke at all. I told the medical staff, I said, give me a mask. I promise my kids I'm going to take them to the aquarium. I don't care. And that's the thing. Why? Not because I'm superhuman. It's because that pain of having a father that will break promises to say, I'm going to see you and leave you on the steps. That drilled in me so hard that even in utter pain, I was like, forget it. I made a promise. I got to keep it. And that's a dangerous way to parent. It's dangerous to parent out of guilt.
It's a mess. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
All right. So we definitely gonna cover that topic. We do a whole show. That's a wife right there. She said it was a mess, right?
Yeah, buddy. That happened for real.
I get it. But we can go. I'm gonna stop because we can keep going.
We're gonna get into it. Yeah. Oh, but appreciate that, Rich. Thanks, buddy. But no, thanks for the topic though. We can definitely cover that. I know Dr. JL is his Fridays is his most available, so maybe we'll cover that on
I would mind that. Of course, thanks, Rich. I'll get up again at 9 o'clock just for you, okay? Thanks. It's my day off, but you know what? I'll cover this topic, Rich. Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for rocking us as always. Let's see. Taiwan, yes, sir. We missed you, man. definitely want you back on the regular. Yes, indeed. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week on Monday. Great topics we're going to be covering, digging into more fatherhood and bringing our community together, because I think I'm really stuck on this unifying our community. So, I try to throw some new curveballs, and we're going to get past it to cohabitate. We're going to find a way. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, we're gonna definitely talk about bringing us together. And I'm working on some guests, to come in and talk about financial literacy and things of that nature. Dr. K says another topic: navigating being a partner and a patient,
a
parent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess she's mainly referred to when you come in as a new co-parent and you deal with this man crazy kid. In a sense, she want to put all my business out.
I see. Let's wait a little bit. Let's see what else she gonna put up it. No.
I love it. Let's hang out here for another 10 minutes. See what else comes.
It's fine. No, she is truly a strong woman to come in to deal with, because she went through the hazing process, man.
Gotcha.
Her hazing process was worse than mine. Well, Alpha Phi Alpha is a non-hazing organization, but
officially we're not. Officially. Oh man, I got a story about that one, but not the Greeks, but another organization. I was in college and trying to get on the band. It was like, yes. We don't do any hazing. I was like, "Ooh, I'm so glad they don't do hazing around here." Just to get in the band and just on the marching band.
Oh yeah, marching band is buddy, that's a fraternity too.
Right, but anyway, okay, we're not going there. Let's go. We gotta get out of here. All right, we see you guys Mondays. Be blessed. Stay safe. Continue to wear the mask. Know that we love you. God loves you more. We thank you guys for supporting, being a part. Make sure you check out the podcast as well. We gain financial revenue from just listening to the podcast. So share it out. If someone's missed this conversation, share the podcast to them. And we look forward to seeing you same time, same place. That's it. That's all.
Buy those shirts. They hot.
Right. Get the shirts. All right, guys. Peace out. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe. Thank you guys for hanging, being with us. Sharing is caring. All of my replay peoples that watch in the background that I know see this show.